All right, here he goes. He's coming back on again. Technical difficulties.
Good there, Chris.
He said his audio still. There he goes.
All right,
Now he's clicked on.
All right, I'm back.
you're back.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Back.
I don't know what was going on there.
Mhm. You guys know Phil Williams? I'm sure you know of him. He's one of our regulars on here.
Yeah, I
Phil
know.
Williams
I don't
was-
really get on podcasts too much, but yeah, I know of him.
Yeah.
Phil Williams was one of my heroes when I was coming up. An incredible bodybuilder, absolutely incredible bodybuilder. And
yeah.
we have Jean-Pierre Fuchs on as well.
Uh-huh.
And Ryan Pataraki, both IFBB pros. So we've got a lot of talent on this show. Even
Yeah.
Jay's talented.
Well,
Pierre Fuchs is one of my he's incredible.
yeah.
He was a monster.
he may jump in here. So I'm messaging him now, see if he wants to jump in, but he had some stuff going on. So we'll see.
Can I introduce these two guys?
Yeah, go ahead, man. I was gonna say this is our PCA takeover.
PCA is taking over, yeah, exactly. So this year we had 15 shows, qualifiers. We've got like 2 left. And our Maryland show on July 17th, I think it was.
Yep.
Chris Quick came. And he traveled from Connecticut. He'd been competing the day before in Connecticut. And he'd done several shows over a few weeks. He was dialed in. I kind of reached out to him. He came over to Maryland and freaked everybody out. And we gave him his pro card. Well deserving. And we're honored to have him as a PCA pro. I'm going to get both these guys to talk about their story in a minute. But there you go. There's Chris. And then Nick. This past Sunday at the Florida Classic, Nick won the bodybuilding division, won the overall, and we decided that Nick was of a high enough standard to get his PCA Pro card also. So Nick and Chris are both our newest PCA pros for 2022. Nick actually competed with us last year. And won the bodybuilding, but narrowly missed out on his pro card. Yeah, that's the lineup from Sunday. It was a good lineup, Nick. It was a good lineup, good guys. But if you're okay, guys, I'd like you to go over kind of your history. You know what you got you into bodybuilding, where you competed, what you've done. One at a time. Whoever wants to go first. But
hey, real quick, Ian, is it just me or does this guy look like a young Tom Platts here?
Yeah,
That's what I was thinking too.
Yeah, he is. Actually, Bryce, I've known Bryce for quite a few years. I promoted some strongman contests several years ago. It's called Brawn on the Beach, and he's actually a strongman.
Oh, is he? Okay.
Yeah, he's got a competitive strongman team, and he's got a gym not a million miles away from where I live, and it's all strongman stuff. He
looks like a pretty strong dude.
He's ridiculously strong.
Yeah.
Like phenomenally strong. But he's one of those physiques that's a bodybuilder, that's a strong man. You know, like Marius, Puninaski.
Yeah.
Just a real. So I've been trying to get him to do a bodybuilding show for a long time.
Somebody's humming. All right.
That was probably sorry.
All right. So sorry to interrupt, guys. Whoever wants to go first.
Yeah, Chris or Nick, whoever wants to go first, just give us a background.
You want to go first? You want me to go first? I go first.
Yeah, you go first, Chris.
All right. So as you guys know, my name's Christopher Quick. I'm 32. I started bodybuilding probably about 16 years ago. I was into wrestling and track and field in high school. I was never really a big dude, nothing like that. My track and wrestling coach was actually a sponsored professional bodybuilder in the IFBB by Team Muscle Tech. His name was Ed Hasbrook, and he pulled me up to his classroom one day and he saw my physique and he said to me, he's like, I think you might want to change up doing wrestling and get into bodybuilding or weightlifting. And at that time I didn't know anything of bodybuilding or weightlifting. My dad was a really big guy, but like I said, I didn't know anything about bodybuilding. When that man showed me a picture of what he looked like, I was like, yo, I want to look like that. I want to be like that. So like from that day forward, and I was a Division I wrestler. Like I got scouted by tons of colleges. I gave up a 4-year wrestling scholarship to Bloomsburg, Pennsylvania. I gave up a scholarship to go to Plattsburgh for nutrition, and I stayed home. I did local college. I continued to compete in bodybuilding. I stayed in the INBF, the Natural Federation, up until 2008. I won Mr. T New York from Matt Johnson out here in Poughkeepsie, New York. From that point on, I knew bodybuilding is exactly what I wanted to do. I didn't know where to go from that point because it was new to me. All I know is I've seen bodybuilding change from when I started to what it is now. And right now, I don't know. I could only imagine what you guys think of bodybuilding and how it's changed from then to now. I know I don't enjoy it as much now as I did growing up back then. Like you don't have like a set of like 10 guys that you can look up to. Now you have like 30, 40, 50, 60 different IFBB pros. Like it's like a dime a dozen. You pick one and that's who maybe you like, or, it's definitely changed a lot for me. So with that being said, I didn't do my first MPC show until 2017. I lived down in North Carolina. I moved away from New York for 5 years, away from my family. I started my own business. I had a bad seizure down there. I was in a coma for a month. I almost died. I woke up from that coma. It took me about a year to get back to myself. And then that year when I finally came back and learned how to work out and everything, that same exact date that I had that incident, I had fallen 35 feet out of the air working on an NFL player's mansion and almost died again. So I thought everything for me was over. So when I said I came back and did my first MPC show, it was in 2017, and I competed with a fractured hip and a fractured pelvis at the Charlotte Europa Games for Ed and Bed Parisi. I did classic physique. I ended up cutting from 225 down to 176.25 pounds. Don't ask me how I did it. I don't know. All I know is I had a really good diet. Even with a fractured hip and pelvis, I trained no lower body. I continued to do cardio. I cried doing the cardio. All I know is it's something I really wanted to do, and I didn't have anything to motivate me at that time. I had no family down there in North Carolina. I had nothing. So all I had was my own like willpower to continue to just keep going. So at that time, I was like, this is the only goal I have right now and the only thing I have to live on. So I did that. I competed in that show. I won the classic division. And then 5 weeks later, I went to Spartanburg, South Carolina, and did the Upstate Classic for what's the guy? He passed away a couple years ago. Dutch Strength Promotions puts it on, and Lee Haney was actually there and handed me my trophy that year. And 5 weeks later, I competed as a bodybuilder, not as classic. I put on about 10 pounds. I went in at 186 pounds. I won the most muscular award. I won the junior division. I won the open light heavyweight, and I took second to I believe he's a pro now, IFBB pro, John Crow, I think. I believe his name is. He's from South Carolina. I believe he just turned pro as a master this year.
What year was that, Chris?
Huh?
What year was that?
That was 2017.
Right.
Yep. It was literally 5 weeks after I did the Charlotte Europa. I went and did the Upstate Classic. So I did that, and then you guys don't know, but in 2018, my father passed away 6 days after I'd moved back from New York, and I honestly didn't think I was ever going to compete again because it was something me and my dad shared. And I'm not going to get emotional about it now, but it was something big for me. So later that year, I don't know what happened, but I literally dieted for like 4 weeks. And I went to the Williamsburg, Brooklyn, to the Brooklyn Grand Prix. I stepped on stage and I owned it. And I lost to a hometown favorite. I'm not going to say, there's politics, whatever the case is, But all I know is I dieted for 4 weeks. I came out, I looked sick. I went down there, won the open light heavyweight, and that kind of lit a fire underneath my ass. And I didn't know what I didn't have that a lot of these other guys had that were winning their pro card. So I just sat to myself and I just kept thinking, I'm like, what do they have that I don't have? What do they have? I'm symmetrical. I have everything I need. And it was a coach. I didn't have a coach at the time. And a lot of you guys know Olympian James Gobert. Jimmy Gobert, his son Roddy Gobert was my first IFBB pro. Roddy Gobert was my first professional coach out of Louisiana. Very great guy. He's definitely amazing at posing. I have nothing bad to say with the guy. It's just I ended up after my first national show with him out at USA's, which was in 2019. I did very, very well with Roddy. I took 8th out of 25 guys that year, and nobody knew who I was coming into USA's either, besides the fact that I won the Greater Gulf States in Louisiana. I think it was 5 weeks before that. I flew down from New York, won the overall there, and then I flew out to Vegas to compete at USA's. So yeah, that was a big year for me, but that's who my first professional coach was. And then as you know, coming into after USA's that year, I took the rest of the year off. I had a whole big bad breakup with my ex that kind of like put me through a whole medical loop. And that took a little bit for me to recover. And then we came back into 2020, and that was the year of COVID. And all my shows that I was lined up to do that year kept getting canceled and canceled and canceled. So I didn't know if I was going to compete. And then I ended up going to North Americans, and I think I got like 16th or something. Dougie Flexfit from Pittsburgh, he won his pro card there that year. I don't know if you guys know who he is. He's a pretty big dude. He's sponsored by Axe and Sledge. He's a great guy. I seen him at Universe this year when I was there to compete. But I don't want to talk about that show this year. That's a whole nother story. So we went and did that, and then I knew there was something else that I was missing in order to get my pro card, and I didn't know what it was, and I didn't want to be that kind of like athlete that searched around and jumped from coach to coach to coach to coach, because I'm super dedicated and committed to who I'm with, and I ended up reaching out to Blue Taylor, and that's who I ended up choosing to work with. I reached out to Justin Compton, Justin Miller. A lot of you guys know who he is. He trains out of Bev's gym, and that's the gym that I trained out of pretty much 3 days a week this year. I drove from where I am down there, 2 hours there, 2 hours home, 3 days a week, just to build the physique that I had this year. But that guy, he didn't want to give me the time of the day until he seen me at Universe this year, and then his jaw was on the ground and we couldn't pick it up. But anyways, so like I said, I got with Blue Taylor. I took an off season. Last year, I wasn't ready to compete. I ruptured my other tricep tendon 2 years ago, and that took about a year for me to recover. So I didn't think that I was ready to compete that year. I ended up doing a full PCT, a full clean out for probably like a cleanse for probably like a good 16 weeks. I did a good clean out. 16 weeks, I did a good clean out. And within that 16 weeks, from like working out hard and eating good, I looked like really good. Like I looked like competition ready. So I found a show that was local, and I ended up just jumping right into it. I didn't diet for the show or anything. I mean, I was dieting, but not like for competition purposes or anything. I wasn't on any gear, but a low dose of test, low dose of GH.
What year is this, Chris?
This was 2021. Right. I competed in September in Poughkeepsie. And like I said, I was on a low dose of test, low dose of GH. I was just doing a clean out because we were going to get ready for nationals, to get ready for USA's the following year. And I was like, you know what? I want to do a show just to qualify, so I don't have to qualify next year on top of getting ready for nationals, a little less stress. So I ended up jumping into the show. I weighed like 202 pounds, didn't diet for it. I was eating, like, if I wanted Taco Bell or something, I had some of that. I'd eat McDonald's if I wanted, but I was still eating my diet food. Like I was still on my regimen, eating all 6 of my meals a day. But like I said, if I wanted something extra, I was eating it. If I wanted ice cream at night, I had it. If I wanted cookies at night, I had it. Whatever it was, I worked hard for it. I jumped in the show. Long story short, I got second in the heavyweight division. It was my first time ever competing as a heavyweight. And I only did it because I was 202 pounds, but I qualified for nationals. And that was going to be my first show, was supposed to be USA's this year after doing that show. And I ended up going up to Syracuse and doing the Greater New York for the MPC. And I won the overall. I won the open light heavyweight division there. I won the overall. 2 weeks, was it 2 weeks later, babe? I think it was either 2 or 4 weeks later was the MPC Universe. And there's a big discrepancy on the NPC Universe, you know, the open division being drug tested, not drug tested. I don't mind talking about that on here. You know, a lot of people have the iffies about, like, you know, what they can say and what they can't say. I'm open about talking about everything. And I was told by a lot of the higher up guys in the NPC, and I'm friends with a lot of the guys too. You know, I've been around for a while, been competing for 16 years. They gave me the go to do the show. Knowing the open division is so-called drug tested, whatever it is. I've been told by multiple people, go do the show. You're ready, this, and that. Long story short, I went to Bev's. I didn't even sign up for the show until 2 days before Team Universe. I went down to Bev's to pose in front of Steve Weinberger before the show even happened to see if my physique was worthy enough to be there. I got the fist bump. You're good. Sign up. I signed up for it. I went there, and I pretty much didn't get judged at Team Universe because I was too enhanced. I don't know if that makes any sense to you guys, but a lot of you guys that know the political side to it kind of know where I'm coming from. I don't want to speak too much on it, you know, because I'm not trying to disrespect the NPC. I just don't agree with the way they're falling short of their athletes, and you know, how I don't know. I don't want, like I said, I don't want to get too crazy with it. Like I said, I went to Universe. I didn't place there, but they were sure to take my family's money. I will say that. So I was a little disheartened by that. I'm not going to lie. You know, the type of athlete that I am, the caliber athlete that I am, the physique I know I possess. I know this year, I gave it literally 150%. Like, I didn't know what it took to really bring that caliber physique to what it meant to be peeled, to be like what you want to call dick skin, I guess is what everybody calls it. But it literally, I know I suffered hard this year working with Blue Taylor. He's big on suffering, fish and rice diet. I don't know if you guys have heard that a lot from his other athletes, but super big on fish and rice, took out all my fats. 2 weeks after that, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go do the Connecticut Grand Prix at the Foxwood Casino, and I'm just gonna finish my season there. I wasn't gonna go out to USA's because I was already told that one of their light heavyweights from out in that area, hometown favorite, was said to win it. I wasn't about to go spend thousands of dollars to take second place to a hometown favorite again. Just wasn't happening. I spent a lot of money this year to get to where I am. My wife exhausted a lot of her time and money, and I wasn't going to do that to my family. It just wasn't fair. So I went up to Foxwoods Casino, and I won the Connecticut Grand Prix. I won the open light heavyweight, won the overall. I talked with Aaron and Ian. They had reached out to me about competing in the PCA, the Maryland Cup. And I didn't know if I was going to actually go to the show, because from Connecticut to Columbia, Maryland, where the show was about 6.5, 7 hour drive. And I didn't step off stage and get done with the Connecticut show until about 10 p.m. that night. So I really didn't sleep. I might've slept for only an hour. Me and the wife, we packed the car up, and we headed to Columbia, Maryland. And within like an hour to 2 hours of getting there, we stepped on stage, and we gave everybody a show, and we won our pro card.
Do not leave out the most important part of the story.
What's that?
Why did you go to Maryland? Why did you know about this show?
Nick, Yeah, let me put this out there. Nick actually, I think, reached out to Ian and them to have them look at me to see what had happened to me at
So-
Universe.
Okay, so
And-
I had never met Chris or talked to him ever in my life. And I knew a few people who competed at Universe. And I wanted to know what they looked like. Because, everyone posts their best photos. Everyone posts, what, like when they look good. Or, the sketchy thing, they don't post anything. So it's like, oh, I placed something. And it's like, why aren't you posting any photos? Like, let's see the glutes. Let's see it. So I went online and I was on NPC News Online and I was looking at the photos. And so I go like through the divisions and the person I knew was in the light heavies. You were light heavy, right?
Yeah.
And I went through every person's photos and I get to like the end where I was about to stop and I clicked Chris's. And I was like, this dude should have won. And I was like, what the heck? So I like go back up, I pull up number one's photos, I pull up two, I pull up three, I pull up Chris's. And I was like, how was this like last? Or like second to last? It was like something like last or second to last. And I was like, so I found him on Instagram and I messaged him and I was like, dude, you don't know me, I don't know you, but I just looked through the photos and like, you should have won like at least top three. Like, did you get any feedback? And then he told me the story about, what they told him. And I was like, you got to compete at NPC. I immediately told Ian and I was like, Ian, you got to talk to this guy.
Yeah, no.
I reached out
I
to you.
will straight up say, yeah, definitely Nick put the spotlight out there and opened up my eyes to a whole new federation and I want to say a family too. So yeah, Nick not only won his pro card, but he gets the spotlight on that because he did have these guys reach out to me and if it wasn't for you being such a great person and like, going through the physique photos and stuff like that and like just reaching out, then I probably wouldn't be here either today. So
yeah, I mean, you did the work. It's your physique. I saw it and I was like, man, if you're getting screwed like that, that's not all right.
Mhm. Chris, how tall are you?
I'm 5'7".
Okay. Cool. And what do you weigh right now? What's your weight? What your last
Right
show?
now I'm 220.
Okay.
I plan on staying right around like 215, 220. Me and my new coach, we are on like a pretty decent diet. I'm eating a good 5 meals a day. I'm doing 3 shakes right now only because like with the meds and stuff I'm on, I don't want to eat as much, but I'm making sure I'm getting in my calories.
Mhm.
So on my high day, I'm taking in a little over 3,000 calories. And on my low day, like a little over 2,800.
Now, are you still like you're eating your meals, or are you still doing your like your Taco Bell and all that stuff still now, or
No.
back
I
off
mean,
of that?
if I want some cookies or something like that, I'll eat it. But right now, I'm not really doing too much. Tomorrow, I'm actually going to try to go to the gym and do a little bit of light legs, maybe walk around the track a little bit and get up and do something. I just want to give my body a couple days to like really. I've been super tired from all the pain that I've been in, so I just been like sleeping a lot.
Yeah,
But
I know that. So cool. Nick,
Yeah.
man, you're up.
I think the original question was, how did you get into bodybuilding?
Yeah, and then kind of elaborate from that point on.
So mine was super progressive. Like there wasn't like a moment where I was like, oh, I want to be a bodybuilder. It was really progressive. Really, it was from sports. So I've been like playing in sports and an athlete all my life. When I was really young kid, I was playing like my family's super into tennis. So I played tennis, soccer, basketball, football, like you name it, I played it. And then through high school, I played basketball and lacrosse, and then really fell in love with lacrosse. So high school was like football, basketball, lacrosse, and then I continued lacrosse as my main sport through high school and college. So really, that was just athletics was my obsession. So I honestly like didn't really love weightlifting. That was just something I had to do to be better at my sport. It was just part of it. Lacrosse was, I joke that it's like my first true love. But then after like a lacrosse injury from my knee, I kind of like, I was like, there's not really a future in lacrosse as like a professional. College is getting more difficult, with my major and everything and the classes that I'm in. So I stopped playing lacrosse, and what did I know? I knew weightlifting from, being on the teams that I was on. So I continued with weightlifting, and I feel like I got really lucky in the sense that not a lot of people who start out either with bodybuilding or with weight training um, really start out with either good coaches or know what they're doing. I started out at like a really famous athletics camp for weightlifting and strength and conditioning called Mike Boyle's in Massachusetts, where they've put out dozens, if not hundreds, of NHL like professional hockey players. So my first introduction to like weight training was like strength and conditioning from like professional coaches. So there was really no like learning of like, oh, how do you bodybuild and form? Like I was pretty lucky where like my first step into the gym was like professional coaches with strength and conditioning who trained professional athletes. So it was pretty quick for me to like learn like, oh, like this is what you should do for athletics. And then once lacrosse ended, that was when I more like, towards the end of my college career is when I started getting more into weightlifting. So definitely been into bodybuilding a lot less time. But I quickly, caught the iron bug and fell in love with it. I love training. Like I finish a workout and I'm like, okay, next time I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I just love training. It's like, I know Dusty Hanshaw talks a lot about a scoreboard. And like, my background with playing lacrosse for so many years, like my whole life, it's like a scoreboard, like, beating your numbers, getting in a good workout. And so like, I really got, super obsessed with that. And then it really evolved. Like I know Chris said, there was a moment where he saw someone and, he wanted to look like that. And really it was just like, oh, like 165 like looks pretty cool, and then like 185 would be pretty cool, and then like 200 would be pretty cool. So really for me it was like super progressive until it was like eventually it was like there's no limit, like just fit through doorways is difficult, like that might like, so it really progressed from there, and I met a lot of awesome people along the way who inspired me. So for me, it was very, very progressive, but there was not, there's a lot of people who like look at bodybuilders and like, oh, that's gross, something like that. Or like, I never looked at a bodybuilder or someone super muscular and thought that. I thought it was awesome and impressive. I thought Arnold Schwarzenegger was the man. I thought Sylvester Stallone was awesome. Like, I thought like the Rocky movies were super badass. I thought like the big jack superheroes were awesome. I thought The Rock was the man. So like I never thought any like negatively about like having muscle. It was always like cool. I didn't realize like what went into it. I was like, oh, The Rock's just this big jacked guy. And then like later in life you're like, oh wait, he had to like work his ass off for that. Like, oh, I can change my body. Like the control is cool. A lot of bodybuilders like control. So really it was really progressive for me. And then competing was just, something that I lived in New Haven, Connecticut for like 4 years. That's where the Montanari powerhouse is. And so like, that's really when the competing got into my head. There's a lot of competitors there. Evan Santapani trained out of there for a while. A lot of good pros came out of there. One of my really, really good friends, Ben Raffala, shout out to Ben. He trains out of there. So really the competing came from just being around those types of people, wanting to try it.
Who was our Brandon, the natural guy that came on our show? He's big in Connecticut up there. Brandon Lario, whatever his last name is. I apologize for not having his. He's a natural pro. Anyways, sorry.
What about your competitions, Nick? What competitions?
So initially, I was going to compete in one of Jay Cutler's shows in New England in 2020, and I started my prep like right around when like the whole COVID craze was happening. I don't know if I can say that word on YouTube. The whole the whole virus craze started like right around when I started my diet. And so I started getting ready for one of those shows in 2020, postponed. Okay, we keep going with the diet, kind of maintain a little bit and then get back on it, for the new date, postponed again. And then eventually like, okay, it's going to happen like in August or something. So it was originally like in June, or I think it was either in May or June. And eventually like they had changed the date to something in August. I had my tan set up and scheduled. I had a photo shoot paid for and scheduled. I had like everything ready. I had like, my friends ready. And then 2 weeks out, it was canceled. So I was like, you know what? I have the tan scheduled. I got the photo shoot paid for. I was like, let's just do a photo shoot and get tan. So really, I got like in contest shape in 2020, and it's like a kind of my fake first contest. And I went to one of my buddies' gyms. That was like a pretty hardcore gym in Massachusetts, and I did like a photo shoot after getting like pretty stage ready. So it was like my first like prep. My next two were the next year with PCA. The first one was going to be an NPC. The next one were PCA Boston. Lloyd, my coach, and one of my best friends, and I miss him dearly. I hope may he rest in peace. He's the one that convinced me to do the PCA initially. He's like, why don't you there's this show in my hometown in Spring Hill. It's the PCA. It's this new organization in the US. Amateurs can sometimes win some prize money. He had nothing good things to say. So I was like, yeah, I can stay with you. It makes sense. So I did a show in Spring Hill in June. Boston coached me for that. And I was fortunate enough to win that overall. And then we continued to do this PCA USAs in October, which, ended up being like a really, rough prep. It was exactly 16 weeks apart. So it was like too much time to just like, come off a diet and restart, but it was like not enough time to really have an off season. So I was kind of in limbo for half of it. And then I think about 4 or 5 weeks out, I got COVID. So I finished the prep exhausted, like having to nap 3 times a day, feeling horrible, training in my neighbor's basement with like, some barbells and like a couple dumbbells. Really didn't bring my best package. So I was able to win my class there, but I wasn't able to take the overall, and I knew I wasn't at my best. So in this year, the plan was to go again. And unfortunately Boston passed away, in the spring. So I wanted to finish what we started, and, I hired a new coach, Sean Smith, animal athlete, so incredible guy. Super awesome, so genuine, so nice, so helpful, great, great friend and mentor. And I was fortunate enough to, be my best this past weekend and win the Florida Classic. And I finished the job me and Boston did, and win my PCA Pro card and win that overall. So I couldn't be more happy.
Awesome. Cool, man. Congratulations.
I call it 3.5 shows.
That's pretty successful, man. 3.5 shows.
Well, Phil, you got anything? I know we were kind of leaving you out there, man. Sorry.
Oh, that's okay, man. I'm learning.
I know
Playing catch up on everything that's going on.
Yeah,
Because
kind of
it's hard to
absorb
keep up
everything.
with it. Yeah, things are hard to keep up with nowadays. At least I have a hard time keeping up. What do you guys plan to do next as a pros?
Chris, you want to go first?
Yeah. Well, my injury last time took about before I could actually get back to doing anything upper body. I think it was about 5 or 6 months. So I'm going to give myself some good healing time. Do everything they said, just like last time, because I don't want to hurt my arm. And then I'm thinking with the adequate amount of time of getting ready and being at my best, I think I'll be ready for. I mean, Ian, do I have to qualify for USAs again next year?
No, you're a pro. You compete as a pro.
Okay. So what I'm thinking is I'll be ready for USAs by October next year.
Right.
And then I'll be ready for Worlds. I definitely, if I get that invitation to go to Worlds, I know I got invited this year, and I really would have loved to have taken up on that opportunity and go represent the PCA US. So if I do get that opportunity next year, you can count me in, because I'll be there. I am definitely, when I get back to that stage next year for USAs, being that I don't have to make a weight cap, this is the first time I've ever competed. I don't have to be a light heavyweight. I'm actually going to get to show the PCA how I look on the bigger side, because when I'm bigger, I look a lot better and I get really freaky. So things are definitely about to get crazy when I come back next year. So everybody just be on the lookout, because I'm gonna be putting in the work.
That's why I like height classes over weight classes, because it allows you to be your best as a bodybuilder. The weight classes can limit you so much, especially if you're on the border of 2 weight classes.
Right. Did you say you ruptured your tricep?
Yeah, I ruptured it. I do tree work. 2 years ago, I ruptured it doing tree work as well. I told myself I'd never do it again. But when you're getting paid about $40 an hour, you know, the money's really good. You can't really turn that down, you know?
Mhm.
So my boss made a little mistake and I ended up paying the price for it. So it is what it is. I know what it is to get back to it. I'm just going to take my time and keep, you know, try to stay as positive as I can and just look on the brighter side. I know I'll come back bigger and better. I just got to rest up. So
Now, did that require surgery?
I had surgery on Monday. What they do is they go in and they put anchors in the elbow and they rewrap the tendon back down to it after they suture it together in like a cross weave. And then I just give it some time. But last time after they allowed me to go back to work, I ended up going back to doing tree work after I got cleared to go back to work. And within 2 months of going back to work, I ended up fraying the tendon in my arm again last time. And I didn't fray it badly, but I did end up fraying it again. And once I ended up going for another MRI and I found out that I frayed it again, I steered away from doing tree work again. I had no choice but to like go back to doing another trade job of mine, which is carpentry work. And I mean, everybody knows you can't make a living off of doing professional bodybuilding unless you are the greatest. And
Right.
let's get real now. I mean, like we're good, but you know, we're not rich pros. Like I guess you pretty much, how I look at it is, bodybuilding is definitely not a poor man's sport. Like for real, it is definitely, you have to have finances, you have to have your shit together, and you got to have a good mindset, because if you don't, this is not the sport for you, and you will not be successful.
No, even at the amateur level, you spend a lot of money.
Oh, do you spend a lot of money? Yes, you do.
I think you probably spend more on the amateur level because, you know, some of your pro guys, they can get their stuff paid for, you know.
Well, yeah, and the fact, I feel like I don't want to take up all the time, but this is kind of my take on it. Like I feel like as amateurs, they almost make us work even harder to reach a certain expectation. And then as a pro, I feel like that expectation kind of dwindles a little bit. It's more or less like a popularity contest once you receive that pro card, you know? And it's, I don't know. Like I said, bodybuilding's way different than it used to be for me. Like guys like Ian, and you know, you guys are like the golden age era bodybuilders to me. You guys are like the guys I used to look up to and like be like, oh my God, like I want to be like that. And now you have 50, 60 of you guys out there, and it's like, just pick one. You know, it's crazy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Ian, you guys, you made your money on guest appearances a lot too. And it's just, you don't see that anymore.
Yeah. Most of my money, I mean, when I was competing, I never made a lot of money from bodybuilding, if I'm being honest, but I did a contract for a few years, but I made my money when I used to guest pose.
Yeah.
I'd sell the 10x8. So I'd make as much money on the 10x8 than I did on the guest posing. When I was a junior, like when I was 19, 20, 21, I was guest posing most weekends. Yeah.
So, I mean, it's almost like social media helped bodybuilding and kind of killed it at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Back in the 80s, I made more money guest posing and doing seminars than actually competing.
Yeah.
No, I mean, so in the end, I mean, if you look at yourself from start to finish, by the time you reach the highest level, you're almost upside down. You spent more than you made for the most part.
Yeah, you are.
I think it's got worse though, because I think it's got worse because, I mean, like I've mentioned this before, but I know for a fact, and I know certain numbers. In 2019, the NPC gave away 1,072 pro cards in the US alone.
Yeah,
that's a fact. That's not me making that up. 1,072 pro cards in 2019 were given away in the US alone. Well,
how many
when me and Phil were competing, there wasn't 1,000 pros in the world.
How many of them even competed since then?
Well, that's the point they're doing about here. That's exactly what they're doing. They're watering it down so much that, like when Phil used to make money doing seminars and guest appearances, nobody can make money doing that now because there's so many. And most of these guys will do it for free because they just want to be looked at as a guest poser. And that's not what professional athletes should be. That's why the PCA, I know we're relatively new in the US, but we don't give pro cards away easily. We only give pro cards away to athletes that have reached a certain standard and that look the best they can on the day. Nick, you know that. You know, you know exactly how we operate. We don't get.
I had 3 chances and I only got the last one.
Yeah.
So I wasn't my best the first 2. I didn't deserve it,
Well, a lot of guys, they'll get their pro status and it's just a status. And then, they go on Instagram, start making workout videos and whatever, and they'll start making money on Instagram.
Well, the thing is, now it used to be where an IFBB pro was classed as an elite athlete. They were the top of the shelf. Now every gym's got 10 IFBB pros. You don't even know they're IFBB pros.
I can't tell you how many
times.
So many times I've been to a gym and somebody be like, "Oh, like there's this guy, he's a pro," and I'm like, "Who? Like which one?" He's like, "That one," and I'm like, "Where is he behind the small guy?"
Yeah,
like
that's happened many times to me.
Yeah, listen, I used to reach out to guys on this podcast when I first started it a couple years ago. Now I have guys messaging me that are IPB pros, and I'm like, dude, I have no idea who you are. I'm not. Nothing against the guys. I mean, some of them have some good stories and stuff like that, and I've had a couple of them on here, but
I mean, I'll say one thing: the fact that the PCA allows us to compete internationally, that's been a dream of mine. I want to see where I stand against the top guys around the world. I don't want to see where I stand against the top guys in the US or only the guys that can get their visas to come over here and compete in the US. No, I want to see where I stand against the top bodybuilders from around the world, because I know some of those other countries have some insane athletes, and I would love to stand next to them. I don't care if I'm better than them, worse than them, whatever. All I know is everybody deserves to stand up on that stage, and being that we can compete internationally, I think is a huge privilege, and I'm super excited that I get to do that in the PCA. I will say that.
Yeah.
When I was the first international show I ever did, I did the Junior NABA Mr. Universe when I was 19, and I was competing against the overall junior champions from 15 different countries: Spain, Germany, US, France, and that was one of the biggest buzzers I've ever had. And then to compete as an IPB pro throughout the years that I did, like at the Arnold Classic, and there was a lot of different nationalities represented at those shows back then. To me, that's how you really know how good you are. That's how you really, because when I first started the PCA, when I first brought it to the US, I reached out to a lot of athletes, and a typical thing I got back, which I could never understand, was like, I reached out to one guy in Florida. He said, "Well, I don't want to compete against people from other states or other countries. I just want to compete against the guys in my area that I've always competed against." And I'm like, well, the PCA is not for you then.
Yeah.
You stay with the NPC, because that's not what we do. The whole idea is we want to get the best athletes. And obviously I'm originally from England, and I'm competitive. I want to take athletes to other countries to compete. And ultimately the goal is to hold the world championships or the universe here in the US, and have all these 35 plus countries come here and compete on US soil. That's really what I want to do.
Yeah.
Ian, champions aren't afraid.
Exactly. You don't cherry pick the shows you do and cherry pick the people you're going to compete against. Come in at your best and see where you stand internationally, not just nationally. That's something we do different. And the whole thing, the one thing that bugs me is, like, as an IFBB pro, what's the yearly fee? You've got to pay. You've got to pay.
That's a little ridiculous.
Nearly $300. You've got to pay them each year. Well, do the math. 1,072 people just in 2019, all paying $275. Add that up. Sure. Now, is that giving out in prize money? Hell no. Not even close. That's wrong. And the bottom line is, I'm an athlete, and I'm not an athlete now. I'm too old, but my heart's an athlete. I'm a bodybuilder at heart, and I feel that bodybuilding has gone down a road where all the income generated by bodybuilding is from the very bodybuilders that make the show, and I think that's wrong. I feel that bodybuilders should be given cheaper entry fees, cheaper memberships, great photo packages that are not expensive, tanning that's not as expensive. We try and make the cost to the athlete the minimum, but give them the best. And that's, now we can sell tickets to good shows, and we can generate our income from selling tickets, not from taking it off you guys.
Yeah.
Well, how about if you're gonna charge them 275 and you got so many thousand and you're gonna keep it the same way it is, I mean, at least jack that prize money up like it's
Exactly.
going into a pool, you know?
Exactly.
Like, well, I mean, hey, if everyone's paying 275 and you got to pay to play, you know, at least give us some more prize money. But the fact that the prize money hasn't changed, but the entry, so the entry fees are like, or the IFBB Pro card has gone up in price. And the number of IFBB Pros has gone up in number.
Right.
How much has the prize money really changed at all in pro shows?
No, not
Like
much.
marginally.
Maybe down.
What is the prize money right now for an IFBB Pro Show? The average pro show pays what?
10
How
grand.
much?
For
First place.
open,
About
yeah,
10
between
grand, yeah.
5 and 20 grand, and for other classes, maybe 2 to 5K.
Yeah, I
That
think the
hasn't
Tampa
changed.
Pro was just 10 grand, I think.
Yeah, that hasn't changed much since the 80s.
But the number of
At
pros is like 10 times.
Listen, I just
Yeah.
came back
Yeah.
from competing at Pittsburgh. I think I paid 10 grand.
See, that's exactly what I'm saying. See?
Yeah, between my hotel and everything else, Jesus. Ugh,
It's
you
not,
know,
that's what I'm saying. It's not cheap, man. Like people don't understand what it
No.
costs to like compete, you know, and then to do multiple shows on top of that a year. Come on. Like you're not only putting your body through it, but like you're, you know, it's a lot.
Yeah, and I was going to bring that. And that was I only had one topic tonight that I wanted to talk about, and since you brought up all the shows, is I don't know what state you guys. Where are you at? You're in Arizona, Nick?
Yeah, I'm in Arizona, Phoenix.
Okay. I know
I'm in-
you're in New York. I'm sure New York has a lot of shows, but I know in Florida we're just saturated with shows, and I just wanted to get your guys' opinion. Like, do you think that are there too many shows? And we're not, and we're talking about all the organizations together, just overall.
Oh my God. I was looking at some shows in Texas. Like I'm always on like looking to see pictures of who did what and like how they did. There were some like smaller Texas shows, and there was like 2-3 people in a class, 4 in a class, and there's like, look at the list of shows, and it's like, I mean, I love having shows. I love having more shows, but if you have 4 people in your class and you know every single show like week after week after week, I mean,
Watered down.
is there too many shows, or is there not enough competitors?
I don't know. I just seem like the quality of the shows is just not as good as it used to be.
I agree.
That's what I see. I know I did. I'm not going to name the show, and I'm not. I don't like bashing any organizations, but I did an Orlando show. Just I had to do a show to obviously to go to the Masters, and the one I did there was 3 of us. There was 3 bodybuilders, you know, and it was.
Wow.
And I'm a little aggravated with and I'll say this: the trophies and the lack of. You know, you spend all this
don't
money.
even get me started,
Bro,
man.
and I say this now just it aggravates me. You know, I won my class and I got a medallion, and I guess that's the thing now. It's like you don't even get trophies now. So these guys that are working hard for trophies aren't even getting trophies.
I want to touch
And
on
all
that
this,
real
and
quick.
how much was your entry fee? I'm just out of curiosity.
It was 135, and that was just the entry fee. I know, you know, we know the
Yeah.
tanning, the hotel, and everything else. So
I want to touch on that real, because I want to say one thing. Like I said, I don't want to bash any organization or anything, but I know very well, like exactly where you're coming from when you talk about that. It's like, think about it. Us as athletes, like a trophy to other people might not mean anything, but to us, it shows and depicts our hard work. It's a story for us. It symbolizes something. It shows who we are. So a trophy to other people might not mean anything, but to us, it means something. So it's like, show me that you respect the hard work that I put into stepping on your stage and to make you look good too. As a federation, like you're not only making yourself look good, but you're making them look good as well. You're not coming on that stage only dieting for 2 weeks looking like smashed ass. You're giving it your all, and this is how they this is what they give back to you. I will straight up say the PCA, I only got to do one show for them, and my experience on that stage is definitely something I'll never forget. the fact of like the stage lighting, my stage photos are hands down some of the best stage photos I have ever gotten taken in all the 16 years of bodybuilding that I've been doing. And I've been gotten photos taken by tons of photographers and so forth. And yes, there are some good private photographers that I've gotten, but I just want to say the PCA puts a very well put together show, and we'll just leave it at that. You know, as far as like commending their athletes, the fact that the PCA gives every athlete a medal, pretty much saying we respect everything you've put into this. Thank you for competing in our show. Yo, that means something to me. I know that. And that's one thing I noticed my first show, and it definitely touched me. So
Thank you, Chris.
And I'm just going to vent a little more. I got spray tanned one time the night before the show. So I come down the next morning to get my coat for the morning. No, you get glazed.
Yep.
That's it. Oh no, we do touch-ups in the back. So you go in the back, I did that. And then you come for the night show. Oh, I'm here to get sprayed again. Oh no, they just give you a glazed touch-up. Yeah,
you're good. You're good.
Yeah.
What's the price of the tan?
It was I think 150.
Yeah,
it's the same price, you know. And then you got
national shows. It's more.
Yeah, dude, I can't even remember what I paid. I was so aggravated when I left there.
That's crazy. We actually put our own tanning team together for that exact reason. We've seen, you know, the way that the athletes, to me, it's like if a lot of these NPC shows, they require you there the day before for check-in. So you've got to spend 2 nights in a hotel, and you've got the exorbitant entry fee, then you've got the exorbitant tanning fee. So we put our own tanning team together. We do tanning for $99, night before, morning of, unlimited touch-ups and glaze. And, you know, that's about as tight as we can get it, because we have to pay for the product and stuff. But that's fair.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll be honest, my wife tans me. We do my own tanning.
That's how I used to do it.
I used to do it too when I first started.
I love it. I'll be honest, like my competition color comes out so much better when we do it.
Yeah.
So much better.
Doing it does.
Yeah.
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 Shout out to Mallory. Shout out to Mallory PCA.
Oh, Mallory's awesome. Mallory's awesome. But it's funny. I have never had a spray tan in my entire life. I've only ever done it with the little sponges.
Yeah, that's how I used to do it when I first started.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
Now, don't get me wrong, guys. You guys know there's some shows that give some good prizes. They give some good trophies, and you know, it just so happened this one I did. I definitely it put a bad taste in my. If that was my first show, I would have. I really would have had a bad taste in my mouth.
I understand. The thing about the trophy is we all know as bodybuilders, you know, the journey and the process is you know what you reflect back on, right? And the struggle is the success, right?
Yes.
Success is a stale finale. But you know, you have all these memories, and you have all, you know, oh, I went through this, and like, oh, you know, that was tough. But you have something you can tangibly point to that answers the question, was it worth it? That first place trophy, you can point to that tangibly and say yes. And you can, it's a physical thing you can hold. And so, yeah, sure, a medal or whatever. And like, yeah, you're like, I don't need a trophy, I won. But it's something you can point to, look at, show someone and say, yeah, I remember those 45 minutes of cardio that I did every day, and I was going hypo, or like, you know, that day that it really sucked and I was really dragging and I was really hurting. Like, was it worth it?
Yeah.
Yes. And you can point to that physical trophy, and like me, like I can do that now. Like I have the sword, the overall sword now. I have that first place
and
trophy.
that pro card, dude, that pro card, bro.
I can look at that and say, was it worth it? Yes, it answers the question. Whereas without it, like it's kind of just like, you know, like, yeah, it was worth it in my head, but like you can't show that off.
Yeah.
You know,
every trophy has a story.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, a personal story that you just most people can't understand.
Especially because every prep's never the same.
Yeah, everybody, I'm sure we've all gone through personal struggles in a prep, you know.
Did you get that sword home okay on the flight, Nick?
with that.
Did you get the sword home easily on the flight?
Oh no, I'm having a friend ship it.
Okay, all right.
That was going to be a hard explanation. I'd be like, oh, it's a.
Yeah,
it's a
I don't think
letter opener.
TSA would have liked that very much.
Very
No, not a
large letter
sword.
opener.
Yeah, not a sword on the flight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we had a lady flying from the UK who were competing in women's physique, and she won the overall sword.
Mhm.
She went to get it shipped back to England. It was like over $100 to get it shipped, but there's no way she wasn't going to go home with that sword. She didn't want
I
the
had
sword forever.
I had to pay to have mine shipped home from Louisiana when I won the overall down there, and it was like $100 and some to have it shipped
Wow.
back to New York. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Just shove it inside some golf bag or something like that. So,
But
yeah.
you know, the athletes work hard. I know that better than anyone. And they deserve something. They deserve something that's got some weight to it. They deserve something that's substantial. You know, we actually have our own trophies manufactured, even though Nick likes to break them. We we like to have.
Yeah.
Nick dropped one of his there, but we had a spare.
I had my brain malfunctioned.
Oh God.
It was all good. We always bring spares just in case that happens. But you know, it should be something different, and we try and make our trophies unique. In fact, we're having different trophies manufactured for finals.
Mhm.
So we're always trying to evolve everything. We're having different medals made for next year that are double-sided, because a lot of the time the medals flip sides. So we're
Mhm.
going to have the PCA logo on both sides next
Oh,
year.
that's cool.
So that
Oh, nice.
it
Yeah,
happens all
that'd be
the time,
nice.
you
Yeah.
know, to flip around. We're always trying to evolve everything we do. We're going to make the lights better next year. We're going to make the smoke better next year, and we try and do everything. At the end of the day, the show's about the athletes, and the athletes deserve to be highlighted. They deserve good images. They deserve time on stage. They deserve comparisons. And you know, another thing that I always moan about is the men's physique in a lot of other federations. Those guys work hard, you know, just like we work hard, and they come out and they get stacked from the front, stacked from the back, and they walk off stage. They get two poses. It's insane.
Yeah.
You know, so
Yeah,
we give
can
them.
I say one? I want to say one thing. I was a little shocked, like when I stepped on stage with the PCA. It's definitely different than the MPC. When I heard Ian, like I'm talking about as far as like with the competitors, like with the physique competitors, and the MPC, they don't really get to hit poses like a bodybuilder or anything. And in the PCA, Ian allows all the competitors to open up, whether you're a bodybuilder, a physique competitor, classic guy, and hit some sort of pose to show off your physique. And I've never seen that in any other federation besides the PCA. And I thought it was pretty cool. And I started hearing Ian call out to have the guys hit classic poses, and I thought that he was asking the bodybuilders to do that. So I'm backstage and I'm back there like trying to practice classic poses, like, yo, which one do I do? Do I do this? Thinking I was like, all right. I was like, I've never had to do that before as an open bodybuilder. But I will say that was pretty. I will say that was pretty cool. So it allowed you to see a little bit more of the physique guys, like their actual physique, instead of just like, you know, a couple quarter turns or whatever they normally do.
Every athlete deserves time on stage. Every athlete deserves a 6-second posing routine. Every athlete deserves to be compared multiple times against everybody. So we as judges get the decisions correct. You know, we want to make sure that we judge fairly. We want to make sure we see everybody, because I know personally, I've competed I remember when I did the Olympia in '95. They'd already decided where we were going to be. They didn't really compare us. They didn't really compare everybody. They already knew that you were in this group, and they won't even compare you with the other group. And I think that's wrong. I think every athlete should get a chance to have a comparison, because you know, some physiques don't look great just standing in a lineup. Some physiques come live when they pose, and other physiques look tremendous standing, but when they hit pose, they look terrible. You know, and I think you've got to give every physique a chance to show itself fully before you make the conclusion of.
I've seen it so many times where like a guy will get like 9th, right? And I never saw him stand next to 8 or 7.
Yeah, exactly.
How is he 9?
Yeah, we've talked about that a lot, about people not getting compared like they should be. Yeah.
He might be 9. He might deserve 9. Let's take a look.
Yes.
I agree.
I almost feel like a lot of the other feds just want to get you on stage and off stage. As long as they've got your money, they don't care.
Yeah. Have you seen some of the amateur Olympias or Arnold's? You come out, you turn around, they're like, okay, thanks. Back in line.
Yeah.
when
I
I
mean,
No matter how good a judge you are, you can't judge that quickly.
when I did the Tampa Pro, not last year, year before, I did the Tampa Pro, the NPC version of it, and I was on stage maybe I wouldn't even say a minute. I mean, it was that quick. I mean, you got a couple turns and that was it. They didn't even do all the mandatories. I think we only did like 3 mandatories. There were so many people there.
what?
It was crazy. Yeah.
Bro.
And the person I
Yeah.
was with at the time, she did bikini. She didn't get on stage until probably close to midnight, and it was probably less than a minute.
They did that to me at Universe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
It's
crazy.
16 weeks of dieting, and they just treat
Yeah.
you like.
Yeah, I placed well, so I was happy, but it was still, I was like,
Yeah, but the thing is, as a bodybuilder, you do all that prep, right? You work your ass off, you do all that dieting, and you want to peak on the day of a show.
mhm.
You're walking on stage at midnight. You're not especially as a bodybuilder with more muscle mass. You're
You
done.
ain't peaking.
No, your peak's long gone. You're not looking. your
You
best.
peak first thing in the day, like mid morning, afternoon. That's when your body is at its prime.
Right.
I don't care what anybody says. Everybody knows that. That's when your body's awake. You've been able to give it some food, some nutrition, and it's ready to go.
And that's why I feel that the through show is the best way to go for a bodybuilder peaking, for a bodybuilder's health, and for finances. You don't have to buy 2 lots of tickets for your family. 1 ticket, see the whole thing. As an athlete, you come on stage, you peak, you do your quarter turns, comparisons, posing routine, pose down, you're done. We announce the results, you're done. Now you can eat what you want, and it's just healthier. It's just fairer on the athletes.
When I told my coach that's how it was, he said that's how every show should be.
Yeah.
Are they do that over UK too, Ian?
Yes. That's what I first
the
saw it.
worlds too.
Yeah, every single PCA show, it's all a through show. When I first saw it, sorry, go on, Nick.
How many shows have you seen ever total where the difference in prejudging and the difference in final scores changed the placings? Maybe 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Like ever?
And usually what happens if it does change the placing is because the judges were doing this for the 6 hours before the night show, and the judges that didn't agree with the other ones got talked into doing it their way, which is wrong.
Like 2 or 3 maybe ever.
Yeah.
I agree. Yep.
No, so why draw it out? Why can't we see the guys? We make our decision. When you guys are posing down, we do all our numbers, figure out who's won, and we announce it there and then. It's healthier, it's better. The crowd can keep staying engaged. It's just a better way to do it. Yes, we don't make as much money that way, but that's the fairest way to do it.
I mean, my girlfriend's not a judge and she's not a competitor, and we come out in a lineup and she can tell me in any pro show we're watching or amateur show, like she can pretty much pick out the top 5. And she's not a professional judge, and she's always right.
Yeah.
So it's like, you're telling me the professional judges need all that time?
Yeah, they do. It's all the.
We can do. Got backstage. We know who the top 5 is.
And as an athlete, when you're backstage as an athlete, Chris, when you did the Universe, those guys knew that you should have won that show.
And I'm not just saying that, but when you got all the other pros that are looking at you and taking pictures of you, like Guy Sistarino was taking pictures of my glutes backstage. Like, he couldn't even believe how good I looked. Justin Miller, he was standing next to his athletes. He couldn't believe how good I looked. John English, you guys know who he is. He couldn't believe how good I looked. And his athlete turned pro that show, right? Listen to this. This is how messed up it is. His athlete turned pro, and he was in the open light heavyweight division. He took second to last to me. They gave a pro last place at that show. How do you do that? You turn this dude pro, and then you give him last place in the same show? How does that make you look? What are you doing? What are you doing?
In a different class.
He won it in the Masters division, and then he got last. I got very last in the light heavyweight, and he got second to last to me. How do you give a guy you just gave a pro card last place to? Come on, dude. You know what I'm saying? That says something right there. I'm just saying, like, how do you do that?
Yeah, exactly. That's
It's money.
what it is. It's
Like I said, I'm not
Yeah.
saying I was the best, but listen, the package that I brought to Universe, I was super hard, super conditioned, super lean. Me and Blue Taylor had myself dialed in. I have pictures from the day we started to the time we stepped on stage, and you could literally watch my physique change from hour to hour to hour. We were on point. That's all I'm going to say. We were ready to turn pro that day, and they weren't ready for us to turn pro.
I hate the fact that you went through that, but I'm really glad of the fact that Nick messaged me, brought you to my attention, and now you're with us. That's what I'm glad about.
Me too. I'm definitely I'm super excited about it. And I already know right now on my side, on my end, I've already opened up the PCA to a lot of people around me. And Ian's been talking back and forth with me and my new coach, and I don't know if it's okay, but we're gonna try to bring a PCA show to New York next year through me and my coach, Cody Neary on Team Limitless. I don't know if you guys follow him, but if you guys do, go out on Instagram, follow Cody Neary, Team Limitless. We're gonna try to bring a show to New York next year, and I know we're bringing to the West Virginia show, we're probably bringing about 5 or 6 athletes from New York alone. So we're definitely going to open up the doors. We're going to spread the word. I got tons of people in Massachusetts that are going to compete into some PCA shows in the 2023 season. They're already waiting for the schedule to come out. So I know we're about to make some things really big this year, and I'm super excited to have the opportunities to be a part of this. I know that.
We're trying to change this sport for the better, for the athletes. That's why I'm doing it. I want to make it fairer. I want to make it more affordable. And you know what? As an athlete myself, I didn't achieve what I set out to achieve. I never won the Olympia. I never won any massive pro shows. So I want to leave my mark on bodybuilding by making it better. You know, I just want to make it better, make it fairer, make it more affordable. Because I love the sport. I love bodybuilding. And I just want to keep it alive. That's
more or less, let's just make bodybuilding again.
Exactly.
Let's just make it bodybuilding again.
Yeah.
I would say let's get rid of the politics, but it seems like it's never going to.
We should though. Yeah. That's the thing that it's what's happened was, and this started a long time ago. This is not just the guys that are around now. They try to monopolize everything, and that's a money thing. But you know, as an athlete, an athlete should be able to compete wherever they want to compete. If an amateur athlete's in shape, and there's 3 different federations with 3 different shows in their area, that athlete should be able to compete in all 3 without getting penalised, without getting threatened, without feeling guilty. It's all bodybuilding. It's like having different title holders in boxing years ago. Bring them all together. What my dream eventually is all these different federations, PCA, NPC, GB, or whatever they are. Bring them all together. All their champions compete against each other. Yeah,
and we talked about that. Remember, we had the show with all the federations and everybody that was with us.
It should be. Let's really find out.
I would love that. That would be awesome.
That'd be awesome.
That's the way to do it. That's what bodybuilding should be. Now you've just got the problem.
Isn't that what they do in soccer or football, like in Europe, in the Euro leagues?
Well, yeah, like a World Cup.
Yeah,
it's like the World Cup. You know, it's like
you got Premier, you have champions, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, to me, that's how it should be. And I think one of the big things is that, and this is not a criticism, this is just an observation, but I came from England, obviously, so I've seen a lot of the other countries. But in the US, a lot of people think that bodybuilding is just what's here in the US. There's a whole world out there. I'm not talking badly about US athletes. There's a lot of good athletes out there. The Korean athletes are incredible. You've even got great athletes coming out of India. You've got South Africa. Can you imagine the gene pool in South Africa? PCA in South Africa is huge, and there's some ridiculous.
I know.
I'm telling you, the genetics of some of those guys are just insane.
Yeah, it's crazy.
All these different countries. Don't you, as an athlete, don't you want to compete against all these guys? I do.
Yeah.
There's probably dudes out there that'll make our IFBB, that'll dwarf our IFBB pros that don't have the publicity like our guys have that can be recognized. So our guys should be lucky that they're not being seen by some of these other guys from around the world.
It's true.
Yeah. Who's that guy that's coming out of the IFBB elite? He's going trying to go.
Freaking off guy.
Yeah.
Oh, he's crazy.
He's crazy good. And everybody slagged him off when they saw pictures of him and they said, oh, he's no good. Now he's come over. He's the best thing since sliced bread.
Yeah.
But I keep saying the PCA is the best thing to happen to bodybuilding since dumbbells.
Ian, shout out to Lubos, right? He's
Lubos
Hungarian.
today, yeah.
He's
What's his conditioning like?
shredded.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
healed. And Dean White, like super symmetrical. And then the dude who got third, maybe Polish, I think.
Yeah.
Super great conditioning. I don't know if Chris, have you seen those guys, but man.
Yeah,
that's how
no.
great that
I saw them.
universe-
They all. That's what I'm saying. Like the
how
caliber
great
of
that universe was peeled.
the caliber of those athletes compared just as good as the IFBB. That's why I don't understand.
Lubos was one paper cut away from death.
Yes.
Well,
Yes, incredible. And Dean White beats him at the universe. Dean White's now turned IFBB pro and he's qualified for the 212 Olympia. But people are not taking notice of him, but he's an incredible athlete. His balance, symmetry, proportions. He's without a doubt one of the best athletes in that division. Whether they'll judge him fairly because he's not from IFBB, because he's
I was going to say that. How's he going to be treated?
He is not. He's not going to get what he deserves. I guarantee.
Probably not.
No,
No, probably not. Well, both Fabian Meyer and Peter Molnar, they're both PCA pros, and now they're IFBB, and they're not getting placed where they should.
Oh yeah, no hand. Yeah,
Peter, honestly though, I think Peter looked better before.
He did. Peter looked better.
I agree. I agree.
Nothing against.
I agree.
Nothing
No,
against him.
I
He
agree
looked
with you.
Better before. He looked better before.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, when Peter was competing with us, he didn't have to make that classic weight limit.
That's what I was gonna say. Now he has to make a weight, so now he has to. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean,
Yep.
we've got some incredible athletes. We really do, and you know, the thing that I love about what we're doing is that we're giving athletes a viable option. There never was before. If you want to compete at a high level, you had to compete NPC IFBB. Now we're giving athletes an option, another option. You know, and we're not trying to say, you know, I want to open it up to people. I want to get rid of the politics. I want people like Chris and Nick to be able to compete on a level playing field and get judged fairly. And if they get beat, they get beat. But if they win, they should deserve to win on the day, and that's what they should do. They should get. We judge what we see. We don't judge what we've seen in the past. We don't judge you on who sponsors you, or who your coach is, or how many followers you've got on Instagram. We don't give a shit about any of that. We judge what we see. And I don't care if it's your first show or your 20th show. You know, if you're the best on the day, you'll win. And if you're not, you won't. Simple as that.
Yeah, well said.
It should be.
How it should be.
Yeah.
Yep.
Exactly.
Awesome. Very good. So, Phil, it's a soft subject here. What kind of car do you drive, Phil?
Honda Insight.
Yeah. Did you see in 2 years, you got to get rid of your car, huh?
No, by 2035.
Oh, is that what it is? I thought it was
Well, it's a hybrid
25.
though, so I don't know. It's a hybrid.
Yeah.
It's not.
I'm
They're
not sure.
talking about getting rid of gas cars now.
California
Okay,
says they're
yeah.
they're working on outlawing them. I just
Yeah, by 2035. So I'll be, let's see, it's 2022. I'm 62. I'll be driving in 2035. We don't know.
You're gonna get a bicycle.
I may
Yeah.
be driving a wheelchair.
I saw that on the news today.
Yeah.
I thought of you and JP. I was like, oh,
Oh God.
that's
Yeah,
funny.
so I'm not going to worry about that one yet.
I'm still waiting for Elon Musk to get us flying cars. So
Oh God.
Hey, not out here.
Like the Jetsons.
Not in California. We already have flying cars. You should see the 405.
Oh, that's true.
Oh God.
That's true.
No thanks.
So I hear you getting Mike Christian on the podcast.
Yeah, we're working on him.
Yeah, I'm working on it.
Send him an email, please. And
I
I don't know. He didn't seem to know what Zoom was. It didn't sound like he did. So you may have to.
I'll do a practice session with
Yeah.
him here.
Yeah,
So,
please do.
Yeah, I will.
And Mike Christian was the first guy. He actually guest posed at a show that I did when I was 16 or 17 years old, one of my first ever shows. And he's the only guy to this day, I think, that I've ever seen shake his tricep like he shakes his quad, shake his tricep and then flex it. And it was like, man.
Mm.
Yeah.
You see a lot of guys try to duplicate it nowadays, but they don't pull it off.
No.
Pull it off.
Have you seen the arms on him lately?
Mm-mm.
They're
He's
still
got big
massive.
arms.
Oh,
Right.
massive, man. Incredible.
He was a genetic
Mm.
freak, Mike Christian.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can talk smack as well.
Oh, yeah. Oh, sure.
Mm.
Oh man.
Oh, well, guys, I might have to cut it there. I got a million things to work on tonight. So,
Thanks for coming on, guys.
yeah, I appreciate it, Nick and Chris, man.
Yeah,
nice,
thanks.
nice meeting you guys. And periodically, if you guys want to pop in here and chat with us, and we'd love to have you.
Yep.
Yeah,
Pleasure
I'd love
meeting you
to.
too. Pleasure
I'm
meeting
highly
you too.
opinionated.
That's good. That's what we want.
That's what we want.
me
Yeah,
too.
yeah. You
Yeah.
guys haven't talked to JP yet, so he'll throw some opinions at you. Don't worry. He's not.
Best of luck to both of you two in the future.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
thank you.
Yeah, we'll follow you guys. You know, we follow each other on Instagram now, so we'll keep up with you
Yeah.
guys. So
I'll keep you posted what they're doing too. It's, these two guys are going to be representing big
Yeah.
time. I can't wait.
Yeah.
My target right now would be Universe next year.
Yeah.
awesome.
Brilliant.
So that's
Yeah.
October 23, is it?
We've got
Oh.
we have two international shows now each year. We have the Universe in May, and we have the World Championships in November.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
we've got one at the beginning of the year, one at the end of the year.
Gotcha.
I'm gonna go for Worlds in November. USA's in October before Worlds.
Awesome, awesome.
So
And then hopefully we'll have more pros through our qualifiers next year and our finals this year and finals next year, and we can
Mhm.
start holding our own pro shows within the US as well. You know, so we'll have domestic pro shows and we'll have international pro shows. That's the goal. That's where we're at.
let's
Cool.
get it.
Ian, you said there's
Awesome.
35 nations involved with the PCA.
Yes, right now 35. But it's expanding all the time. Thailand just joined us about 6 months ago, I think, maybe 8 months ago. But we're constantly adding countries. I hear
Take over.
Russia was
Yeah,
supposed to
take
be coming
over.
on, but now they're at war.
Yeah.
Say that again, Nick.
He
We
said
say Nick.
taking over.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I feel like we are taking over, you know. I think a lot of people that are hardcore, other feds would laugh at that, but
Mhm.
you know, I believe in what we're doing. I believe in what we're doing. I think we're doing it for the right reasons, and I think when people realize what we're actually doing, I think we're going to get a lot more athletes. I know we're going to get more athletes.
Yeah.
It's coming.
We'll get there. We'll
Yeah,
get
man.
there.
All right, gentlemen.
All right, guys.
All right,
Thank
y'all
you,
have a good
guys.
evening.
Thank you for your
Thanks,
time.
everybody.
Great to meet you.